the static in the air. Next and rising, we don't care about the fear clinging there. Step in line, hear the beat drop. Body, mind, so we don't stop. We won't stop. Train it up, train it high. Next gen reaching for the sky. Push the limit, don't ask why. This is how we're born to fly. March to the future, neon glow. Through the fire we will grow. Every move a deadly flow. Next gen rising, let it show. Eyes ahead, the rhythm calls. Stand up tall, we break the walls. Train it up, train it high. Next gen reaching for the sky. Push the limit, don't ask why. This is how we're born to fly.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Next Gen Training here on the Sparta HQ Network. I'm Mr. Bennett, joined as always by my bald, beautiful, benevolent brother, Coach Ferg in the building tonight. As you can see, I think we're rocking tonight. We got the bald heads, we got the glasses, we got the. I'm the only thing I'm missing is the goatee and mustache. That's the only thing I'm missing. But my kindred spirit here. So, how are you doing tonight, sir?
What's up, brother Benny?
Hey,
What's up,
still
brother
working,
King?
still working on that voice. That voice is still strained from coaching those angels
Yeah,
over there.
yeah, man. Especially today, I don't know, man. I gotta. I ain't gonna lie, man. Listen, I'm excited about them, but I got some misfits, and some of them are learning real well. I have some talent, but we'll see, man. We'll see, man. I'm excited. They learning every day. They trying to get the basics. A lot of them, and I got my hands full. You know. I realize um, that I'm getting old, right?
Mhm.
And the fact that um, I'm showing them certain exercises and certain techniques, and some of them don't have any of that ability, right? And
Right,
I
right.
believe I can still do it like I'm 22. I get down, I can't hardly get up. I go too much to the left or to the right. I'm pulling a muscle,
Mhm.
feeling a strain. But you know, man, listen, man, you have to have patience for kids, man. I've always had the patience for young people, right? Because I used to teach the young guys in my neighborhood as a teenager how to play basketball and football. So once I started coaching, it just all fell in love with it. And even in school, I didn't play on teams with success. I mean, high school. My high school team, we was a bunch of scrubs, uh, 2 or 3. We had maybe 4 or 5 good players. The rest were first year freshmen, rich white guys,
Right.
that smoke weed, but it was a good camaraderie. I learned a lot, you know, high school. My high school coach he was a redneck. He was a racist. He was crazy.
Mm, mm,
But I took that experience and said, that's something I'll never coach like. And I've coached girls, boys. Um, I haven't coached college, but I've coached extensive high school.
mhm,
And out of all of my years that I've coached or been on a team, um, been an assistant coach, I personally have never coached a losing team. I've had some 500 teams, maybe 3 or 4. The rest have all had a winning record, even with small numbers of players. But today, the mindset of the leadership in front of youth puts the youth in a mindset of, I can't win.
mm,
And I fight against that the most with kids to get them to believe in their mind that they can be good and successful in whatever it is. Because I translate from adults. Brother Bennett, YouTube is a space that I worked in for 20 years.
mhm,
I work with the worst of populations of every race. So when I came to YouTube, I'm like, oh, okay. So they talking about real life. I don't know. But then when I go to the youth are missing a lot of basic information.
yeah.
I'm talking about a lot but a lot of them want to learn. A lot of them are anxious for somebody to tell them, like, this is the way you can do it. This is a way to do it. It takes work. And every time I get in that space, man, it just gives me so much joy, right? I'm talking about, it's like I dream about it sometime. You're like, okay. And when I see it come to fruition, because I believe we're going to have a good season because they learning a lot of techniques. I got a couple of girls, man, I'm talking about, I'm talking 40, 50, 60 pounds overweight. But one girl, and this is just my check-in because I'm tripping off the team. I got this and
Right.
one little white girl, right, 5th grade. She's like, she's a hard worker, and
Mhm,
she has a little skill, but she's just overweight. But she's running through her sprints, up and down the court. She's learning how to handle the ball. She's stretching, and she's giving effort. My little nieces over here, Shaquita and them, the sisters' kids.
mhm.
One of them probably the best on the team.
It's got talent, but no,
All she,
the discipline's not there.
Brother Benny, all she do is run her mouth. All she do. Everybody trying to pay attention. She talking to them. Got her back turned. Want to dribble the ball 4 or 5 times. I say, hold the ball. Want to question me while I'm trying to demonstrate. Hold up. Let me. Everybody else like, come on. Now I saw it today. Players are starting to speak up. Now here's the sad thing about this young sister, right? Because I let her know you were sat on my bench the whole season. I don't coach like that. Her father is a coach for the 7th grade.
Mhm,
He's at the school. I've talked to him several times, letting him know, don't come to me crying about your daughter sitting on the bench. Because I will lose with 5 of them little girls that's out there giving their best effort every game than to try to piece together a back talking in front of hundreds of people to me as a coach. Man, get out of here. So listen, I hope she figure it out. Then I got one little girl, I got a little white girl, she thinks she Michael Jordan, man. She about as slow as a turtle.
Mm.
And then she got a little head handle, but she hold her head down. But then today I'm trying to show him how to shoot a jump shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when she finally, and she wants to play guard point, I said, you got to stay low. So the first 2 times she kept standing up, they kept ripping the ball. I said, see, every time you stand up. Now I said, you just got to go low, like I've been telling you for 2 weeks. She start going low. Now she getting the shot off. Now she hitting. I said, now see, if you go back to standing up, what can I say? You got to think about it, but man, I'm really excited. You see my voice, but most of that is screaming and talk. And I don't scream, but
Now,
really,
that's the thing about it. I never thought you were a screamer.
I'm not screaming, but I have to get my voice out because I raise my voice.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, but I never thought your voice got that much more than what your normal speaking voice is.
No,
I just had that impression of you.
When I'm on the court and when I'm coaching, my instruction is quick, and I let them know you catch on quick, you play, and players do that because I'm showing them the techniques first. Everything I do starts from the basic technique, showing the center how to post, showing a guard how to dribble, a forward how to rebound, shoot, 2 guard how to set up your shot, pass, how to pivot, all the how to turn backwards, run backwards on defense, lateral movement. I'm teaching that every day. But where I get my voice lost at is I'm sitting over it telling this young lady, be quiet. Just be quiet. Get off the court. Then I got one. This is it. Again, another coach, his daughter, she don't run. She run on her heels. She don't bend her knees when she run. Every day she's been hollering about her wrist is hurting and go sit down halfway through practice. Do you think she really wants to play? No. But that's my check-in, man. So my check-in is emotional, man. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm energized and everything, man. I'm all of those today for the last 2 weeks, man. I got my ID today for the school. You know what I'm saying? I had to go to the school district, got my ID. So I felt good about that, man. Got some good news yesterday. It's beautiful, man, for real. So I'm just excited about that, man. So that's my check-in, man.
I heard that. Yeah, mine's pretty good. It's interesting. I was just having a conversation with my wife, and my wife had a conversation with my daughter. So me, like, I try to play somewhat of a referee. I don't necessarily get into the scrum. That's not necessarily my strategy to get between, you kind of have to let the conversation go the way it is. But the one I try to talk to the most is my wife, and just to let her know, like, in terms of what her intent is. And it's weird. I can kind of see sort of both sides of things. You know what I mean? So I can see where my daughter might have been wrong, or at least I can understand what her instinct is when she's being approached. Like, anytime a parent says, can I talk to you for a second? And we were kids once ourselves. We know that conversation isn't necessarily one that we want to hear, but it's a conversation that you need to hear. And so I was just telling my wife that, hey, sometimes, when you want to talk, sometimes timing as far as when you have the conversation. And sometimes with her, it's like she wants to get it off her chest because she may actually forget it later on. And then sometimes, but, and it's interesting. Just, I was thinking about just our show in general. Like I said, we're giving our advices on how to navigate certain, life skills. Our suggestions. We're not experts. We're not certified. We're not anything. It's just 2 guys, with over 100 years of life and about 40 plus years of marital experience, and just us being, just living life and just giving our perspectives. So if we say, if we say anything or make a statement,
Yes.
that doesn't even mean that you necessarily act on it right away. So yeah, you may, like, I might have told my wife one time, it's like, yeah, something's on your mind, yeah, get it out before you lose it. But there's a time and place for everything. Like wisdom, like anything that we give anybody tonight, or on any show, go back and look at any shows that we did. Wisdom is still something that needs to be applied. A lot of people say, okay, I'm going to get this, I'm going to read a book, I'm going to watch a YouTube video or something, and then I'm just going to go and do. That's not it. You have to know when and how and why things happen, and that may take some experience. That means failing before you get it right. And so again, wisdom is something that it has to be cultivated over time with your experiences and whatnot as well. So don't take anything that we're saying as gospel. Again, I always say a supermarket approach when it comes to the show. And so just that little conversation I had with my wife earlier about because it also says that, look, everybody needs to be coached. You get to a point where you can't be corrected or you can't be spoken to. I mean, we all need. And I don't know about you, Coach. Do you have someone in your life at this point now who can still kind of sit you down and kind of set you straight on some things? Do you still have that kind of person in your life? I'm looking forward to. I have in certain segments I have it, but I don't know if I have that G. I guess we're kind of the G's right now. So
Yeah.
I guess I might have had it a few years ago. I don't know if I have it as much as I used to. So I guess I'm looking for a G, an older G, who can still, like in terms of approaching life and how I approach it. I guess maybe my pastor, he might be someone who I might be able to, if I had something I need to run by him, he can certainly give me some perspective. But we all need somebody to make sure that they can coach us, so to speak. So again, the coaches need coaches a lot of times as well. But overall feeling pretty good. I turn 56 next Monday, and so I'm feeling pretty good overall. Health is pretty good. Still working out. Found to just dusted off an old leg exercise. I posted it on my Instagram. No leg exercise that I posted, and so just did some changes on my power rack and added some cables to it and whatnot, and it was a very effective exercise. And so I'm always looking to be better and do better and find new modes of workouts. Keep the principles the same, but I'm always trying to keep things together. So physically, you thought I was older than that. I guess that's the wisdom talking then. But yeah, you try to always try to learn and always try to be new. And my daughter was talking about so how you feeling? You're about to turn 56, and I said that honestly, I just want to live in the present. I don't think so much, because as soon as I turn 56, my language already changes. So I was like, this is season 57. Just like in my marriage, like I don't say how long I've been married. I say I'm in my 29th year of marriage. And when that day comes, year 30 starts. So I live in the moment. I live in the present, and just try to be the best as I can to enjoy as much as I can. I think probably in the last couple of years, I probably traveled more and seen more things and had more experience in the last 2 years than I probably had in 20 years prior to that. And I'm just enjoying the moment and the time that I have. So staying fit, staying healthy is certainly something that's important in this time. And I want to be as fit as I can to do more things and have more experiences over time. So overall, I'm feeling pretty good, and again, that's a spiritual perspective, again. So I'm always going to encourage people, work on your spiritual health and having that perspective of who you are, whose you are, and your place in the world, and count your blessings about life. So spiritually, I think I'm in a very good place there, and trying to keep all the other things together. So I know we took a little time there, but for those in the audience tonight, I know Craig's in the audience. Marianne is in the audience tonight. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Make sure anybody who comes in tonight, make sure you hit the like button as you come in, and certainly helps us out. We're very close to monetization, and certainly looking forward to that. But just a bit of an announcement before we get into the topic tonight. You can David, you can share the deck, new segment that we're looking to add to the show. So for those in the audience, or for those who are going to look at this a little bit later on, we're trying to go in another direction in the show in the future. And one of the formats we want to add to the show is this new segment, right? So again, this new segment for us, ask the coaches, because again, we can talk, and I don't know about you, Coach. I'm the one that I may say something, I'm going to shut up afterwards. Like, I don't want to keep talking forever. If you can make that just a little bit bigger and make us a little bit smaller, David, that would coaches getting chopped off a little bit. But so we created a mailbox, nextgentraining101@gmail.com. So if you go there and submit questions, we can then use those as topics for the shows coming up, because we've covered, Coach. I think we've covered a lot of topics sometimes the issue is we meet saying what are we going to talk about next, or what's going to be the next segment or whatever, and rather than just talking, I want to listen more, especially for going to, God willing, if we go into 2026, I want to listen more to people and see how they're feeling. So if you drop an email to Next Gen Training, this is going to be a queue, and this is only for Next Gen Trainings, for nothing else. And I'm going to be looking for content. So again, for those in the chat, share the link, share the email, and allow people, young people, people of any age really, on things that we've talked about on the show. And if there's something that we can use as a show topic, so I'm going to have the similar kind of whiteboard. We're going to post that person's question. If you want to put your name, you can do that if you want to. Your name, no more than your name and your city. That's all you need to put on there. Where you're from, and ask your question. And then me and Coach, we're just going to probably have a conversation about that topic or whatnot. And maybe there's something that you can glean from that in the conversation. So we want you guys to be part of the conversation by asking what's always said, no question's a dumb question. And we'll just give you what we got. So definitely, I think no, I don't think you're too old. Like I said, it's for young people. Older people still trying to figure out. Put it this way: most people are going to be younger than us. So if that be the case, then I think you're okay to ask a question. But I know we talked about this on Monday night in our meeting, and so I want to put some action to this and just put it out there. I'm going to be promoting this every week for people to, if you have questions for us that we can tackle as a topic for the show, send us an email to that, and we'll looking to build up a queue, and from that we can create show content based on the questions that we have, so that you have. So Coach, I'm excited about this. How you feeling about it?
I mean, just the title, is intriguing to me.
I'm
it'll
looking.
be interesting. I will definitely sort of use this and reach out to some of the parents on my
That's
team.
what's up. Yep.
And just see what they think about it.
Yeah.
Because I have a mixed population of parents,
Mm-hmm.
from 2-parent support, a foreign family, several single parent whites, and a few single parent blacks, but
Mhm.
they support. So it'll be interesting,
Yeah.
if I reaching out to them and asking them, just drop a question to the email.
Mm-hmm.
And
Obviously we'll screen them first, and also if we get a set of like similar questions, if we see people asking a similar question, that we may make it, we'll make that question, we'll just kind of lump it together and just have that as just a general question, if we see a pattern. Because
How about
certainly,
how about it, I guess we can do this on Monday. Just remind me on Monday to just even with the title because we cover various life titles, right?
Mhm.
Topics, right?
Yeah.
So that could be something that could cue them on the screen, right?
Hmm.
We'll talk about just using this image right here. It could, because once they see the image, then they can be like, oh, what type, what do I ask? But then we have our shows titles
Yeah. And you can
to
even have
this.
them go back and watch some of those shows, just
Yes,
some of the.
yes,
So we can
yes.
also get a again. This
Just
is
put the date.
something for the engineers in the back. A next gen training
Yeah,
playlist with titles, so if folks want to go back and watch
yeah.
some of our
And
content, so they can see some of the things that we cover. I think that'd be also a good that also be a good
yeah,
addition as well. But I just
yeah,
want to put this out, and so like I said, every week we're going to be encouraging people drop something in the mailbox. We'll look at it. If it's a good question, if something we can really work on or whatever, we'll bring it up on the show and have a topic around it. And so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what kind of traction we can get with this, and be willing to share share our thoughts and views on things that hopefully can help uh, uh, people, young people as well as their parents, in terms of how to navigate these things, because we're also parents as well. So we got a little bit of experience with this. So, but that being said, let's get into this. Let's get into this topic tonight. So again, we're talking about this idea of networking, and this is arguably one of the uh, it's almost like dating to an extent, in that networking is definitely more of an art than a skill. So even though I say networking 101 is probably more complex than that, um, but it is something that you get better at. It's a skill that you develop over time. So it's an art. It's also a skill. So part of tonight's show is to give you some basics on strategies. And again, I got to give credit to Coach who gave me some, the initial PowerPoint or the slide that I built this slide deck off of. So again, a lot of the points that Coach that you sent me, I'm going to illuminate them here, but I'm just doing it in a way that be a bit more easier format in the show. So we're going to talk about how to network. So we up this, and this is the last in this series. So we talked initially. Going back 4 weeks, we talked about, again, job search. How do you using certain search tools to find good paying jobs, to do your research on jobs. Then we talked about applying for jobs. Then we talked about your resume, if you choose to use a cover letter or not. How do employing those? And then last week we talked about the interview process. What steps that you can do to have a good interview. And today is basically going to sort of bring all that together, because it all sort of ties in to to things that we've already said. So it's going to be hopefully at a more summary level, at a more high level. But the art of getting out there and meeting people for various reasons: business, personal, professional, career oriented. If you have a business, just some general principles that you can use especially when that you're going to events that are geared towards specifically networking. Now, you can network anywhere, right? If you're good, you can meet somebody in the line at the grocery store. You can meet them on the gas station. I mean, Coach met his wife at a gas station, so he's an expert at networking in that sense. So you can use it in your personal life, but so again, we're not going to cover each and every situation. Every situation is going to have its own sort of unique nuances to it that we're not going to cover here. But again, some general principles when it comes to how to network, or when you're going to be in places where networking is supposed to happen. And again, we certainly encourage people to go to those sort of things. That especially if you are in the job market, or like I said, you have a business, or you're looking to get into various associations. What are some things that you can do especially in a professional networking space, that you can do to to stand out from the rest of the crowd. Because a lot of people get together, and one of the slides we're going to share later, networking is not necessarily about numbers. I've been to events where people come with 1,000 business cards, and they just kind of giving the business card out to everybody. And you can do that. I mean, that kind of, I think they used to call like dive bombing sort of networking, or fast networking or things like that. And just here, just give it out. But that can get annoying after a while. So again, we're gonna networking. Even though we have technology now, we have all these social media sites that you can certainly do networking on. But at the end of the day, networking is still about people, and it's still about connecting. And if you get away from that, then networking can be very hard. It can be very frustrating, and you can very easily feel like quitting. So, again, we're going to cover some highlights here that we can sort of cover, and some do's and don'ts that hopefully will make your networking a bit more effective. But Coach, any comments on this before we get into this thing?
I mean, just the image alone, right, just goes to show how just the nature of us is connections, making connections. Just even what we're doing now, even through Sparta, it's sort of a networking process, in real time, hundreds of miles away. We all in different states and places, and people, when we do a show, people in California are listening in. That's part of the network, and I think that's what I've enjoyed about technology, being able to get information in real time.
Yeah.
And sort of learn it in real time. I've always been into that. So, yeah, man, networking is just a part of who we are. That's why I'm amazed at how we struggle to sort of build together when life is about making connections, personally, professionally. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, and I like what you're saying, certainly before we get into this, because I think this is something that certainly in the last few years, and again, there have been people who raised this issue of, especially for young people, young boys in particular, of any ethnic group, that certainly with the pandemic that came out a couple years ago and whatnot, that you see a lot of these kids feeling more and more isolated.
Mhm.
And so, this idea of networking, why it's important, it's not just, and I talked about, business or professional or whatnot, but just as persons and people, we are, as human beings, we were meant to have connection. We were made to have connection and relationships. So you have a lot of lone wolves. You have a lot of people who just want to, just kind of bury their heads in sand, don't want to be bothered with anybody. And that's understand. I mean, obviously the world can be a cruel place. But again, for those to really be effective in the world, you can live. In fact, I got a screensaver up right now. It's basically that of an island. And you can be on an island all by yourself. And you may think that's good for a minute, but that gets boring very quickly. So again, I think, I would say the people who are happiest in life, I think obviously are those who are operating in their purpose, but that purpose is oftentimes in connection to other people. And so, so certainly, this trend that we've been seeing with young people in general, more isolation. You even see it how this isolation leads to negative behaviors that can sometimes even be deadly. So we have to, this is something that I think as a nation needs to address. And, we're not going to talk politics or anything on the show, but I'm just saying that the important thing is to understand that, we live in connection. It starts with families, And that's an issue for a lot of people, not being close to families, and then friendships, and then our professional and social. So all of these things matter. All these things should be part of a healthy and normative uh, uh, um, uh, place in life. The issue, the key is though, how do you find your network? Because not every network is for you either. We got to recognize that as well. So how do you find yours? How do you find your connection? How do you find your people? You know, where you're at, where you can be your best, where you can be edified and grow, hopefully with like-minded people who want to grow the same way you want to grow. So that's really, at the end of the day, I think this is what this is all about. So it's not just having the numbers, but it's also about, again, the quality of the interactions that you have that make the difference. So let's just get into this real quick. So again, the benefits of networking, again, finding social connections, adding connections, growing your business, again, your career prospects, especially if you're looking for work. Again, all these things are important to your existence in this world, especially in this world that's connected by social media. You know, you need to be able to find those things, certainly in a positive way. So so that's certainly benefits of it. Let's get into business cards. So we talked about, we were going to talk about this. So how do you what goes into a business card? Now, again, depending on what you are now, you can have a business card for your career or your occupation or your interests, right? So and there's a difference between having a business card, like if you represent a company or corporation. Again, one thing to be sure of, you don't want to necessarily mix your personal connections with your corporate or employer connections, right? Because those can be two different spaces, and you don't necessarily want to confuse those two. So again, you may want to have some sort of card. And again, I know we're in this digital world, and people talk about, well, do you really need a business card anymore? Because everybody's on LinkedIn and social media. But I think business cards do oftentimes serve or a tool in a networking capacity. So I have, I still use cards. I always have a couple cards on me or nearby or whatever. I don't just say, hey, give me a number in the phone or whatnot. I mean, if I don't have one, then I'll do that. But sometimes a business card, just like your resume, which I talked about before, is a statement about you and what you represent. And it is a way for people to connect. And I know you can have digital ones now. You can have on your phone. You have you put the two phones together and they tap, and you can pass your business card on to somebody. But the contents of the elements of it, whether it be in a card or a paper format or in a digital format, are generally going to be the same. And you want to be able to use it, again, as a tool. Now, again, some people rely too much on business cards, in that, again, you think that if I get 500 business cards out, that your goal is to give out 500 business cards. And that's a mistake. So again, the idea is the connections that you build are going to be the important thing here. Use the card as a tool, but it can't be the end. Coach, any thoughts on that before we get to this thing?
Now, Brother Bennett, now 20 years ago, you can get 500 business cards for $10. So, everybody was buying business cards at that time.
That is true.
And a lot of people wasn't even using it for work, really. They was just using it for their personal communication style,
right.
Just being a little fancy.
Right.
But the one thing I would appreciate especially for, I guess, an entrepreneur, they could be valuable. People who service people on a regular basis definitely is valuable. So yeah, I mean, business card is your business personality. Where you arrange your information, the colors that you use, will highlight your card. So yeah, let's get into this, man, because even colors promote certain businesses
Absolutely. It's
and
good you as soon as you said that, 'cause
emotions.
that's gonna be part of the presentation as well. So let's get into this. So again, as far as having a professional business card, again, the benefits of having that. Again, 50%, 57% of people feel that having a business card is essential to their business. 72% of people judge the company or person by the quality of their business card. So if you just took a piece of an 11 by 10 and just split it up, just roll and just kind of split it up, or if you cut it out, just get some scissors to cut it or whatnot. Yeah, it should, it should be sharp, and then 10 times prospect clients hold on to a color card 10 times longer than a standard card with white. So again, I think one thing that's probably different, Coach, from years ago is that a lot of cards used to be white, but now people are bolder in their expression, using different color templates and whatnot. Again, just to kind of give a little bit more distinction, certainly to a card. So all these things can go in. It doesn't have to be, like I said, a very expensive thing to get, but having a card, again, it's your personal statement that stays with you. And so when that person looks at the card, though, they're still going to remember the interaction they had with you. And so again, you want the quality of the card should line up with the quality of your conversation when you had that interaction.
Yeah, but Brother Bennett,
Yes, sir.
remember the time when people started having that fancy, it's almost like that raised print on their card, that gold or
Yeah.
silver
Right.
design. It was a little more in cursive writing.
Right.
It got to a point where everything was in cursive, and then it sort of faded back to the what is that, sans fault, the Romans,
Right.
just the manuscript. I think in the sort of early mid 2000s,
Right.
it sort of came back to this
Right.
basic, the logo became more important than the card, its color itself.
Right.
Because I remember in the mid 2000s, they added more color to the cars. You started to see more colors.
Right.
And then as we got into the teens, it started to be more about the logo and and the colors with the logo.
Right.
So it's just interesting to see how they've sort of transformed over the years.
Right. Right. And again, we're going to get in that towards the end. But again, basic information that goes on a card, obviously your name and either your job title or your title of your business, or maybe even your interest. Right. So again, if you're into photography or some other type of thing, but again, something that talks about again who you are. As far as address information, again, I would only put address information only on if I have a business, if I have a storefront, or I have a place where correspondence is sent, I may send it there. I wouldn't necessarily put my personal address on a business card. Especially these days, you got to be wise about that. But it could be a PO box, it could be something that's apart from you. But again, these days also, now if you are having a business card from your company, so you work for somebody and you have a card, don't put anything on a card that they wouldn't want on a card. Because again, corporations, companies, they have corporate addresses for a reason. They don't necessarily want somebody coming to the spot if need be. So again, give as the safest addresses that you could possibly give, certainly on a card. In addition, your email, again, your phone, again, depending on the business that you're in, you might want to have a separate phone or have another. I mean, you can set up cell phone now. You can have multiple numbers for the same cell phone. So again, if this is for a business purpose, look into having a business number. Be very careful about sharing your personal phone information with somebody. And again, your email, Again, if you have a professional email, great. But but those are basic things. Just your contact info, your name, title, email address, phone number, and address. But again, use some wisdom when it comes to giving that information. You don't want people showing up at your house at the wrong time. If you do have social media connections and icons, let them know. You put those icons there, or let them know where they can find you. If you have a website, you can certainly put that there. And then there's also, again, the logo design. And this is something that either, if you come up with something yourself, or the logo of your company, or the person that you work for represent. But just keep in mind, if you use a corporate logo, just keep in mind that and if you give that card out, you're representing that company 24/7. So if you are, like I said, be careful with your personal interactions, with your professional interactions. If you get drunk at a party and you gave somebody your company card, and then someone finds out about that later on, it's like, hey, were you at a party, whatever, then that can lead to disciplinary actions. We've seen people fired over, especially these Karen videos, Karen's getting called out at baseball games and all this kind of stuff or whatever. So so again, do recognize that you are representing, if not yourself, you certainly were representing the people that you work for. And so how you carry yourself in and out of work is going to be important. But these are just some essential tips that you want to use. And again, pro tip, okay, no office location, only use your home address if customers actually come to your home to do business. Need a mailing address, use a P.O. box instead. Again, so just be very careful about that. But Coach, any points, anything you want to call out on this particular section?
I mean, even, once, yeah, I guess when it comes to the information, just be very, one, detailed, and don't, like you said, don't give personal information, and make sure you get somebody else's eyes on it.
Mhm.
I don't know, a card, you don't have to overdo it. The less, the better. This is sort of an infographics style.
Yeah.
The less, the better. And keep your brand name consistent across all platforms, especially for a business. The colors consistent, the logo consistent. Don't overdo it. And just make that a part of your brand. Your colors should be significant to your brand. And you can actually package it all together to where once you get a good business color brand and you create your logo, whether it's on a business card, whether it's on those mobile big advertisement flyers, any social media site, any platform, just make sure that your infographics is very detailed and specific to the T, and that would give your it's almost like your business reputation a stronger standing with people who looking for business such as yours.
Right.
So that's important. Even some cards, they have just blank lines on the back for little special notes or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
That you
Quick
can write
reminders.
for somebody.
That's right.
Or if you have an update, change of telephone number, then you can definitely use that.
Right.
So
Yeah. And like I said earlier, if you're using a card not for a job purpose, you can also use it for your profession. So for example, if you are a game developer, right? I will put that instead of where it says lead consultant, I will put that title there. So again, you might be in a position where you are looking for work, or you're a systems analyst, or a mechanic, or some sort of technical title that you have to your vocation. Then that's what would go in the job title section. So if it's not connected to your own personal business or to an employer that you're for, put what you do as your title. I'm a web developer. I'm a graphic artist. I'm a personal trainer. You want to put those things there. So again, people will be able to identify and connect exactly what you do. Don't put anything too vague. I'm an artist. That's very vague. Or I'm a consultant. That's very vague. Consultant in what? So again, try to be more specific about what your title is and use terms that are common in the business world, that people aren't, you don't want to have something too ambiguous, seer or seeker or something like that. I mean, nobody's going to get amped about, titles like that. So again, be very specific about what you do, especially if you're trying to connect with people who could potentially have maybe opportunities that you're looking for in that space. So again, you may want to have that there, especially when you go into like job fairs and different events where the exchange of business cards would be beneficial. The next point, again, as far as now the material. Now again, some people go with two-sided cards, and as Coach said, cards are oftentimes made with the back where you may have lines that for note taking or what have you. Whether or not you want to have the material, again, it shouldn't be flimsy paper, right? I mean, have a weighty kind of card stock that's quality, that's not gonna, you want it on material that's not, most people take a card, they put it in their wallet or in their pocket or in their jacket. You don't want the material rubbing off as you as soon as you take it out. So again, the finish, some people like glossy, some people like matte finishes. They say matte finishes more for professional look, glossy maybe for more creatives. So again, depending on the industry that you're in, that may also shape it. And then again, whether about the shape, or you want just a straight up rectangle, or you want like a circle, no corner rectangle. Those are things that so that you can have on the card as well. But just some additional things to consider. And the last point I wanted to make here is Coach talking about, again, the colors. Again, it used to be white cards was looked at as professional, but again, people are starting to branch out, and they're starting to create more colorful cards. And again, as you can see here, different colors give different emotions and attitudes. And so, here's just a list of some colors. This isn't exhaustive, but I know black cards is something I've always liked, because I think anything that you put on the card, it sort of pops off the black. Like my personal trainer card is mostly black, but then I got gold weight barbells on it, so it's like it really pops off the black. Having that as well. So again, you can be creative in this process, or you can go to you still have print shops, you still have desktop publishing places. FedEx has a publishing place where they can go in and help design a card for you, but they got plenty of online stores that can help you choose that card. But basically, again, your card is basically your personal statement. So again, depending on who you are, you may want to experiment with different color patterns. But again, probably the most professional ones I would say for business, again, white or black. But some people go into different color schemes, again, depending on the industry that they're in. If you're in the more creative spaces, you have a lot more range. Coach, any thoughts on this, as you brought up the point of colors earlier? Coach, you good? Can you hear me?
Yeah. I mean, you said it all, man. I mean, with the colors, colors spark emotion. If you want somebody to be excited about something, I would preferably use the blue or the green. Blue, green, white. Maybe a little orange. No. Maybe a little yellow. No. But if you want somebody to be excited, definitely in this palette, blue, green, white, um, bright colors, pink, uh, and maybe if you have maybe a business dealing with babies, dealing with birthday parties, you're
Exactly.
promoting birthday parties. Purple is more of an important event. Like it means sort of represents royalty
Mhm.
with purple.
Yeah.
So that sort of stands alone. And it goes very well with gold. Purple and gold
Yeah.
go very well.
Yeah.
If you're getting into weddings and important thing, anniversaries and things like red, you want to invoke fear or some caution, use red. Red is one of those colors that, you see it, especially if it's in a dark place. The lighting is dark. It just makes you think about sort of like what could happen.
Yeah.
Orange, more of a fall-y presence, maybe from like set Labor Day through, I guess, Thanksgiving. You can use orange
Mhm.
and the yellow.
Right. Also, I'm thinking if you're into foods, so I'm thinking like orange, green, yellow, something that's involving food. I think orange and certainly green would be good colors for that. Also, if that's, let's say, if you're into catering or if you do cooking or what have you, those I think are good colors to use
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, yes, yes. And it can be the off colors of those. It's so many. When I learned the color wheel,
Yeah.
the color spectrum, the
Yeah.
RGB, those combinations, man, are infinite. And it's a letter number combination,
Yeah.
so yeah, if you go, and there's so many different businesses, colors that really excel a business based off the color.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people put uh, interest into color too much when they're creating their cards and things like that. But today, it would be very important to sort of integrate a good color that sort of represents what your business is doing.
Gotcha. Absolutely.
And yeah, so
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, moving on to the next portion. I think we're good on the business card. So let's get into the next area. Let's look at your dress code. So again, so this may be more important, like I said, because you can network anywhere. Like I said, you could be in the line in the grocery store or what have you. You can or on the plane with someone. There's always opportunities to network. But again, this would be more again if you're going to an event where it's intended to network. So let's say you're going to a job fair, or you're going to a mutual business, a trade show, different things that might be going on. Where again, how you dress, again, appearance, as I talked about last week with the interview. In a lot of ways, the networking and meeting people, it's almost like an interview. And so a lot of what I shared last week is going to be basically be repeated this week when it comes to that. So again, there's different types of dress. You know, I think if you are going to a place where the idea is to network and meet people, again, I wouldn't necessarily wear anything that I'd be wearing to the gym. I wouldn't wear a hoodie. Now, jeans is that's a gray area for me because I know you can dress up some jeans, especially if you got some nice shoes or some boots with a blazer. I've seen jeans can be a nice look if they're well fitted and they're not torn, they're not overly baggy or got tears in them and things like that. Jeans is kind of a gray area for me, but again, you want to look presentable, you want to look approachable when you go to a place that where the intent is to meet people. So nothing threatening. You don't want to be going to a place that's got an offensive shirt, or t-shirt, or something like that. But again, you want to look You want to look presentable. You want to look approachable. And so again, what you wear. And again, there's a lot of variation there. But I would definitely say that again, your appearance needs to look sharp to dress at either the level of, or sometimes even maybe a bit above the event. Right. So again, going to a picnic or whatever, that might be different than going to a professional business event. So just understand that as you come in. So again, you have your casual looks. You also have your business casual, where again, as a man, you might want to wear again an open collar shirt, but again, having a blazer or a jacket. So again, you're not dressed to the nines. But these are different options that you have. Make sure your hair is good. Make sure, again, I had to say this last week, Coach. Again, make sure that you bathe. Make sure, or when you apply fragrance, make sure you're not wearing something that's overpowering, because people will remember that sometimes in good ways and oftentimes in bad ways. What you're wearing, and on the rare occasions where you may have to dress up, like I said, this a professional event where you're going to have people who are in this kind of attire, and a lot of times when you go to these events, they'll let business attire, and you should be ready for any one of these depending on what the event is. I think everybody,
Could we
can't.
could we go back? Could we go
Sure
back
thing.
a few slides to the
What,
first
business
one?
casual or the first one? Okay.
Now, when it comes to the particular job, I would definitely be wary of shoes. I would say if you're going to work in a business setting to where you're going to be going to make deals in business settings, corporate offices, you want to get you a nice Brooks Brothers navy blue suit with some hard bottom shoes.
So that'd be the
I wouldn't
so that would be this one,
yes.
or something similar. Right?
Something similar. They had to put the brother with the high waters. I never understood that style. That's to me, that's the stupidest style I've ever heard of. We don't wear high waters in my generation. Well, at least I didn't. But
Right.
if you're going inside and you're going to be in the air and you're going to be going in front of maybe if you're going to be going to places like court, pulling major deals with international companies and things like that, you want to be more business formal because they're going to take you serious if you more business formal. Now, that comes with some form of degree, advanced degree above high school, maybe at least a bachelor's degree or above. And you may have to get you 4 or 5 suits similar, just different colors, and just mix and match and things like that. Now, we can go back. Even for the women, right? Let me just make this comment about the women. Even when you wear business casual as a woman, you want to wear pants with pockets. You don't want to go with pants without pockets. A lot of women even wear those legging tights with a skirt or dress or things like that. But when you're going into a professional setting, you want to wear pants with pockets, some nice, sweet dress slacks also. And if you're going to have a shirt with a open bust line, definitely have on maybe a little jacket, something that'll match not a match it, but it's opposite. It's totally opposite, but those two colors blend well together.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that, and maybe no more than 3-inch heels for business casual. Men, not necessarily the tough suit, the business suit, but if you have a nice blazer, a collection of blazers that you can throw on, and you can wear more button-down shirts like this with the button that we call these button-downs. So you button down the shirt, you button down the collar, and you can throw on a blazer with this. This is just a blue jean shirt. I like Levi, so, but this is just casual for me. I don't wear if it's a blue jean day, like as we go to the more formal, on a Friday, if it was on a construction site, blue jeans, maybe, clean with a with a nice pair of work boots, you could and you showing interest to work, you could probably get away with that uniform in an interview. But your shirt still has to be sort of a button downish.
Yes.
Even just a blue jean top and a blue jean bottom with a good pair of ready to work boots, not all, scuffed up and beat up, but it's almost matching a newer look, could probably land you a job in that capacity. But yeah, if you were going to go, when I go to job interviews, even coaching, I wear a tie, I wear slacks, I wear a vest. I like to wear the vest, the pants, and the vest sets. I have more of those than I have suits. And when I go to work, when I was working professionally, that's what I wore every day, except, of course, Friday. I would come in with my matching Levi jacket and jeans, nice set of shoes. I'm big on shoes, man. I probably have 200 pairs of shoes and maybe a good 120 pair of dress shoes. And some are similar, some completely different, whether it's within I have some brown, I have some blacks, I have some blue, navy blues, I have some burgundies, I have some cognacs, some light browns, some dark browns. I have a lot of shoes. I have, and
you can still fit them all.
Oh yeah, my feet are what they are, man. I'm 11 and
That's
a half.
my feet have been growing. I was on 11 and a half for years. And in the last 5 years, I'm almost up to a 13 now. So I don't know what.
Wow.
They say I thought they said your feet never stop growing.
No,
but you can still wear. I had to unload a lot.
You're the
of
first person I ever heard, Brother Bennett. You must have been holding yourself back because it seemed like
I don't know.
2 more inches on your shoe.
I'm thinking all the lifting and the weightlifting. I guess my feet got big as well as my body got big, and I just got. But it's weird. If there were a few, if I've worn these shoes for a while, like I've worn them in, I can still wear them. So I still have some 11 and a halves that I can wear.
Okay.
Some of them, if I haven't worn them for a while, then I had to get rid of them because I just couldn't. So I'm more like a 12 and a half, but that's like the hardest size to get. You can get an 11, you can get a 12, or you get a 13. I'm like kind of right in the middle, but I would rather have the 13 because it gives me a little more leg where I can wear a thicker sock with that, especially if I'm going like in a casual setting. I can get away with the thicker crew sock versus the dress sock. So that's, but the fact that you say you got 200 pairs of shoes and you can still get into them all, that's amazing to me because there's very little that I wore 10 years ago that I can wear today, outside of some athletic, materials or whatever, but suits and whatnot. No, I've almost just overturned my wardrobe just in the last 2 years. And I have a rule now because I go to Marshall's a lot to get merchandise. And so my thing is if I buy something, then at least one item has to go. So I'll go to my class, I'll get in. If I haven't worn something in 2 or 3 years, it goes to Goodwill. And so that's just something that I've just adopted so I don't get out of hand, just accumulating clothing and whatnot and certain things that need to go. So I just keep a big old pile. And my wife, she just gets, makes a monthly run down to Goodwill, give a bag of clothes out, and we get a tax write-off. So that's but I just wanted to kind of show this again. So we're talking specifically in the networking space. I shared this last week when it came to the interview. But when it comes to networking, again, depending on the event, you have professional networks of people that in legal, in finance, and whatnot. So yeah, you might want to be more on the dressier side. But if it's just a more casual social networking event, then again, I think regardless of how you go, you still want to look clean. Again, no gym stuff. Try not to wear sneakers, no hoodies, t-shirts, things like that you just want to avoid, but you definitely want to represent yourself well, especially if you're going to be in a place where you're going to be giving out business cards and whatnot. Then you definitely want to make sure that that you look presentable when wherever you are, because again, people are going to remember that impression of you when they saw you. So make sure that you make sure that you note those things. So want to move on to, again, first impressions. So again, your appearance is first impression, your business card is first impression. But as I said last week, I'm going to reiterate this week, the biggest impression that you can give is a smile and a handshake. And again, coach, you know this more than I do. Again, all these brothers mean mugging and trying to look, uninterested or whatever. You got the ladies, that was a big thing a couple years ago. We can't get the women to smile anymore because they thinking you must want something or whatever. But I tell you, if you're going to be networking, meeting people, a handshake. Okay, a nice, a firm but not a gorilla grip handshake. It shouldn't be limp and it shouldn't be gorilla either. But it should be firm and assuring in your handshake. Look people in the eye when you're talking to them and smile. That's really your introduction more times than not. Now, as you can see here with the pictures, you got people who are relatively casually dressed. But people will remember this more so than possibly what you said or even your business card, or at least they'd be more willing to take your business card if you look approachable, friendly, and willing to engage. And so I don't know why we get off. I remember, growing up, father, uncles, whatever, how to give a proper handshake. And I see young people today, it is just like, I'm almost like I want to crush their hand when they give it to me. I'd be like, come on, brother. like literally, I mean, in fact, my oldest daughter, she had a friend over here. Guy's like 25 years old. I'm like, hey, how you doing? First time I met, how you doing? Paul Bennett. And I'm like, brother. I mean, I just, that irks me to an extent when when a person can't get. But again, but all the other signs were there. Again, no eye contact, shy, reserved, weak, all those things. And it manifested in the handshake. So again, these are things that I don't know how we got off this. Is one of the easiest things to teach people, but a lot of it also comes with how you feel about yourself. So when we talk about our pies every week, how you doing physically, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually? Because if those things aren't there, then it doesn't matter. I can drop you in a room at a networking event. You're just going to stand in the corner. But this is something people have to have to get over. So, Coach, I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm just seeing this more and more in people, in young people in particular. And it's a problem. But yeah. What's your thoughts on this,
Brother Benny? When you say young, what age do you typically talk about?
Well, like I said, the guy I
Adults,
just met was
young
25.
adults. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you're talking about young adults.
20,
Okay.
20. I'm seeing teenagers. I'm seeing even kids. I'm going to a guy's house. His son is at the door, whatever, and he's gonna say, come on, shake Mr. Bennett's hand or whatever. Kid's kind of shy and kind of puts it out there like that or what have you. I'm like, what do you?
Oh, but that's
I'm just saying, but so I don't care. So it could be an 8-year-old, it could be a
yeah,
20, 25
yeah.
year old. I probably met some 30-year-olds. And
You-
I'm just thinking, like, what is it with these persons that, you know, I get being fearful, people are shy, I get all that. But again, if you want to be an effective in anything, an effective networker, you want to have a successful job interview, you're gonna have to learn how to you know, proceed with confidence. To again, to smile, to look people in the eye, a good handshake. Those are basic fundamental skills that if we can't get past that, I don't care how nice your resume is, how fancy your business card is, nothing else is going to really transfer. And so this is a problem. And again, I know, like, as we said at the beginning of the show, I know with the pandemic, you know, people being isolated and just not feeling comfortable around people. They can be keyboard warriors on the internet, but when it comes to meeting a person face to face, a lot of people have lost the art of how to do that. And so, if I was going to have any kind of in-person training, that might be the first thing I work on. When the kids show up at the door, if you're 8 to 18, we're going to go over this. And it's going to be reinforced throughout. If I got you for a weekend, if I got you for a summer, it's going to be reinforced. How you greet, how you leave. We'll always starting in with a handshake, practice eye contact, and work on your smile. And like I said, those things are free. And they can unlock a lot of doors for you. But for a lot of people, it's, you know, it is gone, man. So, but do you agree with that? Or you know, how do you feel about that?
No, I mean, I guess it's two different worlds that we navigate in, because I had a young man reach out, a few of them reach out to shake my hand today.
I'm glad.
A few
I'm
kids,
glad.
you know, so as adults, you know, yeah, it goes to show the lack of, I guess, attention a lot of people were getting throughout their life.
Mm.
You know, to me, that's what I see, because every time I met somebody, I ain't gonna say I necessarily say I cheese, but hello, how you doing? You know, and I shook hands accordingly. You know, and even depending on where I was, I may not have shook a hand, but you know, I've all since a couple of kids dapped me up today too.
Mm.
You know, so it's there. But a lot of this is learned behavior, having the conversation intention. If, you know, just coming to someone's door back in the day, you had to say, hello, Mr.
Yeah.
or Mrs. You know, the mothers, so you learned it. And then as you got to socialize with each other, you know, you met somebody new. I don't know. It's some things like this. It's I guess seeing the evolution of it sort of turning for the worse. It intrigues me a lot. If I'm and if you're going into any establishment, whether you're going to look for a job in a restaurant, it would behoove you to have a friendly demeanor about yourself.
Yes.
And you may not always get to shake hands unless you speak with the manager and you offer a handshake first to show them that you are interested. And when I have taught people to shake hands, I've always taught them to make sure the palms touch. You know, a good grab the palm and not the fingers and things
Yeah.
like this. And even when it comes to men and women, you have the same. I wouldn't recommend somebody just showing, oh, I'm a man, I'm gonna squeeze your hand to a woman.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's that same consistency where it makes a little, not a loud, but it's you know, that if somebody's grabbing and give it maybe 1, 2, 3, and then
Mhm.
let go.
Yeah.
So, but again, your posture is important too. Your eye contact. You don't want to be looking to the left, to the right,
Yeah.
that eye contact. And typically people read eyes when they first meet. So that can be one of the, I guess, the red flags that somebody could identify to say,
Yeah.
well, maybe they not for this particular company, or as we spoke earlier, they're not for this particular brand. They don't
Right.
represent our brand well.
Right.
So
Or even in a networking space, what it says to me is, again, you're elusive, you're not confident. And so again, is that somebody who I even want to to deal with? So again, those are tells in my view. And again, though, I think those are things that are important to emphasize. So yeah, definitely those are things those are things to work on. And it's weird because you talk about the handshake. I've had some women that have tried to give me some gorilla grips, and a lot of it was because I went in because maybe the woman was maybe a bit smaller, so I guess I was trying to be a bit more sensitive, and given that I'm a bigger person, and they shake my hand. It's like, they trying to they trying to tap me out for me to get me to say uncle. So again, you don't want it again too hard. You don't go for the crush. But as coach said, you go for the palms and again an assuring handshake. Let them know that you're alive. Let them know that you are present. But yeah, but a couple of these guys I met, I mean, this the limpest handshakes. I almost want to just grab him by the neck and be like, "Yo, come here, let me show you how to do this." That's just something that just can really annoy me. But again, I also recognize too that yeah, not everybody had the experience I had growing up, or quite frankly, just weren't shown. And those are things that I try to be sensitive to, and rather than call them out or embarrass them or what have you, I may do a quick, hey man, come on, give me a real one. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, and kind of make a joke of it or what have you. But yeah, I just think that's something that's important. But moving on from here. So again, what's just as important? You did all the work to get to the event. You dressed appropriately for the event. You had a conversation, a good, constructive, positive interaction with somebody at the event. But here's where a lot of people drop the ball. You don't follow up. So it says at the bottom here, 80% of people do not send follow-up emails. So again, you went to a recruiter at a job fair. You had a good talk and interaction, but you didn't follow up on it. So again, these are important things. Keeping in touch, following up is important, especially if it did go positive, if it's for business. Because again, a lot of times, especially if you at an event, you meeting all kinds of people, whatever, people gonna forget about you in 1 or 2 days. So that's why again, within 48 hours, have some kind of touch point. If it's something where conversation went, hey, you know what, reach out to me in a couple days and we'll try to set up something. Boom. That's an easy one. But if you had a good exchange, you exchanged business cards or numbers or whatever, a couple days later come, hey, it was great meeting you at the event or whatever, boom, boom, boom. But most people will not send a follow-up. And that, again, that's a missed opportunity. So again, the follow-up is going to be important. So coach, your thoughts on that?
I think a follow up is really important. For if you're an entrepreneur, someone
Vital,
looking to
critical.
get their business going, and you make a contact and y'all exchange information, it'll be beneficial to just shoot a quick email, maybe reminding them who you are, how y'all met, what y'all spoke about, and see if they will follow up with a response, and then that's how you can get your networking process going. Again, business travels best sometime with word of mouth. And and you know what? Just looking at this, right? I'm in the 80% sometimes.
Hmm.
Some of those other jobs that I had interviewed with, I followed up with one because he wanted to see my resume outside of basketball and, outside of sports, I would say,
Right.
because they have a couple of sports. And I didn't really hear too much back, but I was cool with that. I was like, okay, but I didn't do it to the others. So next year, I would say, and even this year, I see the position open at a high school football team. I may put my resume in over the weekend, and if they call me, I'll make sure that I follow up with a follow up email, thanking them for the interview.
Exactly. Yep.
And yeah, so like I said, I've used it sometimes I haven't. But at this point, especially me, I want to get back out there. I don't want to do too much.
Right. Right.
And where I believe I can get a balance is coaching. It gives me that energy. It gives me that power. It just gives me a purpose to know that despite what I'm seeing and a lot of adults are seeing as a bad thing to young people, they don't give a damn about that. And they want that opportunity to sort of, network and build and grow. And they're in social media. They're in texting. That's the two main things young people do is email, clickbait, you know. So it'll be interesting to see how this transforms over the next 48 years, long beyond us. How will people communicate? How will people search for employment? How will people even um, communicate to get their own ventures off the ground?
Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting how social media, I believe they're going to start charging people to do their, just their content on the platform.
Mhm.
And that's just me thinking
Right.
down the road. Because they're
Gotcha.
going to, so even in, what is that? Networking, there's money in teaching people how to network. So,
Indeed. Indeed. A few more slides here to go. All right. So again, some don'ts. Okay, about networking. So understand the mindset that you need to go into these things with. Okay. So again, if you go into a networking event, networking is not selling. And again, I've been to some of those where the guy you're there and they just looking to make a sale right there. Oh yeah, I sell this product and would you want some or whatever. Nah, it's not about that. I mean, see if you like the person first and see if you can open up some exchange ideas and whatnot and see if there's a mutual benefit. But I've been to networking events where that's all they're trying to do is sell you something. And nobody likes to be sold to. So just keep that in mind with, the reason why you're going there. Again, you're looking to build connections, interpersonal relationships. People do business with those who they like, but nobody likes the salesman. Now, again, we grew up in an area where you had, Coach, you had the Kirby vacuum cleaner guy came to your door, or the Mary Kay person came to your door, something like that. We kind of came up through that, but again, just understand, can you go there and really vibe with someone and have an exchange where you want to connect with this person again. It's like meeting someone on a personal basis. Like, if you're going to meet a young lady at a party or something like that, again, you want to leave with a good feeling. You're not trying to hit it right away when you're there. So again, understand that this is not, don't go there with your sales pitch. See if you can connect and see if you can build something deeper down the road. Go beyond the standard questions. So, hi, what do you, you got to start with the hi, hello, what do you do, that sort of thing. But can you go beyond that? If they have a business, what inspired you to start that business? What are some of the obstacles that you're dealing with in terms of, getting your reputation out? Or if you were able to get to a point, how are you able to do that? Have a conversation. But it shouldn't just be, hi, hello, what do you do? Networking is not flirting. So again, especially for members of the opposite sex, this isn't this isn't a necessary pickup. Now, again, can relationships grow out of a networking event? Sure. But that shouldn't be the reason that you're going. So again, be especially in this Me Too area now, be very careful about the things that you say, inappropriate touch, all those things. You got to be real, especially if you are going as a representative of a company. The last thing you want is someone reaching out to your company saying an associate of yours made me very uncomfortable. So again, just understand what you're there for. It's not to hook up. This isn't a club or anything else. And even then, you got to be careful these days. So just be careful about that. Also, avoid negative comments about the event or others at the events. Oh yeah, did you see that guy over there? That guy was weird. Or you see how that person's dressed or something? I don't want to hear negative about another person. So again, if that's how you're coming off, then when I'm not around, what are you saying about me? So again, don't come with negative. Listen, the appetizers at the event may not be the best or what have you, but again, the fact that you're there for networking, don't make a big fuss about the food or lack thereof. So again, just avoid you putting a negative in someone's mind. You want to avoid that at all costs. So, Coach, your thoughts on these 4 points here as we start to land this plane?
You just sort of touched on, flirting. Yeah. I was just thinking about that one because I'm glad I grew up with sisters, because I've been in positions where I've had to be in close proximity to a lot of nice females in my position. And when I went to certain events, I didn't, look at anybody with googly eyes. I didn't speak to anybody on a personal level. I just kept it business, related to business, related to the topics of the event. I definitely wasn't trying to hook up. And I look at the last one within my life and what I do. Avoid negative comments about the event or others at the event. And it's something, hearing it just confirms what I've sort of believed for probably 30, 40 years now. Well, I say at least 30 in my 20s. And I say it in this capacity. If I go to a space, be in the space, enjoy the space, enjoy the atmosphere of where you are at. So, and I've done that in spaces outside of business. Just going to visit friends in college that live in the country. Just embracing the whole thing, just embracing the whole experience. relating it back to when I went into a cave with 2 flashlights in the dark as a kid. So I've always told people, especially when I used to take kids on college tours, I'm like, look, this is not an experience for you to go complain about. You know, you go into space you may never see again. So just go and enjoy the information, enjoy the scene and the sights, and respect it. And just to sum it up, respect people, places, and things. Respect them. No matter where you go, where you at, what country, what neighborhood, what restaurant, what family event, other families, respect those people, places, and things. And that could take you a long way. So yeah, I avoid negative comments, especially if you at the event. Shut the hell up. Go back home and complain. Don't do it at the event.
Absolutely.
Place. Don't do it.
Absolutely. Just a couple of notes at towards the end here. Again, when people talk about networking, especially again in these social media places, connecting on LinkedIn or other social networks is not enough to leave an impression. So again, I can go look at your LinkedIn profile. You can have 500 connections. Do you know those people? How well do you know those people? Were you just picking up because they, LinkedIn recommended, based on similar job descriptions or whatever, they say, hey, these people might be important. You just adding people, and everybody's trying to get all hyped up thinking that, okay, because I have thousands of connections that I'm somehow somebody, or I'm some more valuable because of the number of connections that I have on LinkedIn. That means absolutely nothing. Have you had an exchange? I know LinkedIn has a messenger section where, again, when I was looking for work, I would talk to recruiters and network over that, to set up to at least get to a phone call or phone interview. But that happened in the messaging portion of LinkedIn, not just the fact that I had a connection. So again, I think, for a lot of people, LinkedIn cannot do the hard work. LinkedIn cannot do the interactions. It's just a vehicle, but you still have to do the work. That's why I said not on the other show, I don't mind social media sites or dating apps or whatever. It's just another way to meet, but you're still going to have to go through the work, whether you meet the girl in the store or you meet her online. At some point, you're going to have to get down to the thick of it and meet them. See what they're like in person. People fake pictures, hide pictures. They got pictures on their Instagram or LinkedIn profile that's 15, 20 years old. You see them in real life, and it's like, whoa, what happened to you? So again, but if you are going to be on LinkedIn, again, make sure you have clean pictures. Make sure that they're recent and that your information is up to date on LinkedIn. But don't expect LinkedIn to do the work for you, though. You still have to learn how to network. And I think a lot of people certainly, thinking that LinkedIn would solve their problems. No, you still got to go out there and work. Your thoughts on this, Coach?
I mean, yeah. I mean, especially if you're looking to maybe advance your career, if you're looking to maybe break out into a new career, connect on all platforms. The ones that are respectable. They say people have OnlyFans accounts doing other business deals outside of what it's known for. But I wouldn't necessarily use that platform if I'm trying to promote something to provide a quality service with maybe money or something like that, if you're going to deal with money.
Sure.
But if you're an independent contractor, independent businessman or woman, yeah, LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn account. I use it just to keep up with some people. I don't really apply for positions, and I do have friends that post positions and things on my LinkedIn connection. and I, go in and look at them sometime. But yeah, um, it's it if and I think really outside of, I guess, maybe LinkedIn, um, I don't see too many people really promoting uh, seeking employment on other platforms. I don't see that. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Here I am, Coach Ferg, looking to coach, you know, uh, life skills coach, even though I can do that on coming to YouTube, I've already put in my time doing it, you know? So I I can see where a lot of this pies, Brother Bennett, just the basics of pies could work in this space to sort of build upon the man that would be the quality of maybe marrying your daughters, because you hold your daughters in high regard and you would expect the man to be of high regard also. But I would think the capacity of what I know what I bring would be needed on a regular basis, instead of this conversation about who schemed who, just the bad person here who did. See what I'm saying? Because that's a part of the networking that will allow people to really start communicating and building, not their businesses through getting to know each other and supporting each other. So yeah, I think all what is this, YouTube? You see advertisements on YouTube. I've seen a few things. Facebook, Instagram sometime. But yeah, if you want to find a job, uh, don't be too proud to just ask people within your own network, hey, you know anybody hiring? And I'll say this and I shut up. But I think COVID, it's done two things. It's put some people in a mindset to say, I'm never going back to the person that I used to be. And it's put some people in the mindset is, I ain't doing shit. I'm not going to put in the work to retire at 60, 55, 60. I'm not going to do it. And they're in their early 30s, early 40s, saying that they're not going to get out here and try to build a networking process, try to build a brand to go beyond just, I guess, just social, just, it's almost like a lot of negative of life has become the social norm. And instead of just bracing the possibilities and the positives of life, the negatives of life have become the social norm. And so for a man, it sort of stifles your growth to reach your maximum potential. And I've sort of can recognize that, especially if you, like Brother Benny, me and you are peers. We went to high school together. We would have played in the same parks together, right?
Yep.
So my thing is, if we were in the park playing and you thought you could bully me, right? You would have to fight me that day, right? But that day after, guess who you wouldn't get the shoe ball with no more? Me. Every time I saw you, I wouldn't even play. I would just sit on the sideline and root for everybody else to just get him off the court. Yeah, good shot. See, that's me. But as I became an adult, I learned, I took being able to say, okay, I can separate myself. who's not a positive representation of my image. You know, I wasn't going to fight for Brother Bennett. I'm just saying as an example, I never fought for somebody to have my attention. I wasn't going to fight you. I'm going to show up. I would have been right there with you, especially if we're in the same neighborhood. Some other guys came over. I'd have been like, man, let's get them. And we'd have threw. But then once we had that, like, we could have played sports and ball and had little back and forth rivalries. Oh, man, I got you. That's cool. We can do that all day. Even in football, sports, you got your team, I got my team. We rooting for them. But when it came to sort of embracing the worst of everything, I've always shied away from that. I didn't want to be a part of it. If they said there was work to, I remember being 19, 20, going to look for jobs. Just going, hey, y'all hiring? Being turned down. But the few jobs I got between 19 and, because I didn't get my first job, official job, until I was 19. I went to college 1 year, came home, applied for a job, got it. I worked as a maintenance man, cleaning up the basketball arena, cleaning bathrooms. I was cleaning bathrooms, custodian, right? I saw Whitney Houston in concert when she was young. Then that next year, I built in-ground swimming pools. And that really taught me hard work because everything was basically done by hand. And I thought I was strong with my little muscles. These dudes coming out here double my age, wheeling a wheelbarrow with 160 pounds of concrete in it, 60 yards and turning the barrel. I'm tipping the barrel over. Then we had to build a trench because people were getting in-ground pools. So the pipes had to be 2 feet in ground. One day it was an all-day job just building the trench. They telling me I start first. I probably go 20 feet. I'm burnt out. Mexican guy said, man, get out the way. That dude dug that trench for the next probably 35 yards in about 4 hours. He was done. I was like, man. And ever since that day, I respected hard work. I've respected it. And I'll say this now, shit. When I was in the military, I used to come home and work temporary jobs for the day on my leave time, because I usually would take 2 weeks. For a week, I would just go work, get paid that little $60 a day, and use that to just hang out with, use it for gas money on the way back, and really wouldn't spend a check. So I learned how to sort of budget and be 2 or 3 checks up early. But yeah, man, salute to the networkers.
Absolutely.
Man. If you're looking for a job, create a smile. Keep your clothes clean too.
Yep. This is the last point I want to make on this. There's a balance that you're looking for, right? So networking is not just about numbers, but at the same time, you want to have more than one conversation. Like I said early on, I've been to some where people just dive bomb with the cards. Here's a card, here's my business, whatnot. Don't look at you, don't have a conversation with you. What networking about is about finding connection of people, that have a mutual interest in wanting to pursue something further. Personal, professional, educational, whatever that is. So again, you can come with your 500 cards that you put in for $20, and you can give all those cards out for the end of the night. That does not mean that that night was successful or that you're an effective networker. Just like having 5,000 followers on LinkedIn is not going to help you out. Same thing with the business card. So again, it's not about just getting, or that you come home for the night and you got 20, 30 business cards on you. That's not the idea either. Did you have a good interaction with people? Because now you got it where people just leave their business cards on a table, or pinned to certain companies that go in. The guy, he'll have his real estate cards pinned to the wall. You just take one and go or whatever. That doesn't mean that you made any connections. But all the things that we talked about, we focus on the personal interactions that you will have with another individual. Smile, firm handshake, eye contact. Don't ask the same old questions. All those things you're going to have to do if you want to network. But at the same time, yeah, you could be vibing with somebody for a while, but you should also know how to end it in a way that you want to get back with them. So again, my personal recommendation when you're at a networking event, spend no more than about 5-10 minutes with any given person. That should be enough to introduce yourself, small talk about what you do or whatever, have that interaction or whatnot. Hey, let's keep in touch or whatever. Exchange your business cards, your phone numbers or whatever. Follow up. You can set up more time in the follow up if it was a good interaction. You can follow up then, and then have a long interaction. But again, if you're at a networking event where you're trying to promote your business or your personal interests or your company or whatever it is. So this isn't like speed round where you're just giving out a bunch of cards, but at the same time, don't let one conversation dominate the night. Again, you're not looking to meet your wife here. So again, understand that balance. 5 to 10 minutes is a good, maybe even 15, but that's a good amount of time that you can meet, because I'm assuming that the person that you're talking to, that they got something they want to, they got people they want to meet also. So 5-10 minutes, look good, have a positive interaction, follow up in a couple days, no more than a couple days from when you met them. And then look to see if you can build something on that. So again, you gotta find that balance between those two. And I would rather you go to an event, I'd rather have 5 good contacts, 5 good interactions than 50, just go home with 50 business cards. So again, understand what you're going there to do. And understand also what is effective and is not. And again, just spreading your cards around, that's not networking. So, Coach, on this last one here, any thoughts as we look to close the show?
It is. It's not about the numbers. It's about the quality of the product, one that you present. It's important. You are selling your product, your brand. So you have to present it in a high quality fashion. Always. You have to take your feelings out of it. You have to take your feelings out of it so you can always maximize how you present yourself. That's something that I've always took pride in when I'm going into any space of, I would say just any space where people are going to be. I've always took pride in those spaces. How I present myself is important to me. I'm glad that I know life and had a life, a good life outside of YouTube. I'm glad that I guess some people was just walking around walking dead before COVID. I'm glad that I was in the trenches all the time before. I'm glad that I was able to make these connections because I have some great connections. And I'm talking Brother Bennett from South Beach, Florida, all the way to almost Toronto. I got people I know in Detroit, California, Las Vegas, all up through the Midwest, especially Kentucky, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, all that area, Virginia, East Coast, and everyone that I was able to connect with, I've always been respectful to that difference. And I take friendships serious, you know, and I've always taken it serious. But, you know, I'm older now. I don't feel the need to chase anybody or anything in life. I just receive it and appreciate the blessings that I receive from it. And I'll say this and I'll shut up. Because just in the last, I don't know, probably 4 months after, you know, being on YouTube, I came into YouTube like 2022, right? You know, I was, you know, just happened to click on a link one day doing something around the house in my garage, like what they talking about? And just sort of tuned in ever since. And my message has pretty much been the same. It's gotten a little bit, I guess, having some of these tough conversations, just, I may say some things that may not be always politically correct, but I'm not worried about being politically correct. I may say some things that may be totally different. I don't worry about that because just based off the work that I put in and the journey, I've worked with people of all races, of all colors. Some of the people that the United States say are bad to America, I've sat down with these people. And, you know, when I went, so it goes a long way back with me. And again, I believe, you know, it's not about the quantity, it's always about the quality to me. You know, so yeah, this is a part of a networking process, just this channel to me. You know, the people who are involved with it, the people, you know, who are all connected to us is a part of a networking process. So yeah, again, to anybody who's listening or run across this video, just understand that, you know, life comes in stages. You may not always be prepared for a life-changing event. And I'll say this and I shut up. If you ever get a blessing or opportunity to embark on a life-changing event, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Go, give it your all, learn from it, and then come back to YouTube and tell your story with all the pictures, with all the conversations, and just build upon that. Not sitting around, it ain't gonna be right, it's gonna get worse. This is the end. Not if you have a purpose. You cannot be around people like that. You cannot be around people like that. You have to go out and see it and then venture it for yourself. So with that, man, I'm gonna shut up. And great show, man.
Awesome. And just as a reminder, certainly for those who came in later, so again, we are ending again this particular set of shows, so we'll be getting together, looking to plan the next series of shows. But we're soliciting your help in that process. So as I said earlier, we are starting this new email mailbox for Ask the Coaches at nextgentraining101@gmail.com. So again, you can go there and you know, certainly post your questions there. We'll be monitoring to that. That's the only thing that we'll be looking at. That we're not sending any other correspondence to that mailbox. So, you know, you go there, ask your questions, we'll field your questions, and we're looking to make Q&A as a portion of the show. So we want to be able to take topics or things that are of interest to you and be able to use that as the basis for the show. So, you know, definitely, so share this link, share this content with someone. If people want to know what we do, go back and, you know, look at the this playlist. And again, I'm going to ask certainly for Sparta and for Dave and those guys, if we can get a playlist specifically for Next Gen Training that people can go and look at some of the things that we've talked about, and if they think that we can be a benefit to them to give them some advice, certainly they can drop their questions there. We'll be monitoring that, and we really want to, especially as we start closing out this year, but also looking forward into next year. We want to stop talking so much and start listening more to what the people are saying, and be able to again give sound advice, or at least certainly based on our experience as to what worked for us, and hopefully it'll be a beneficial information for them. But certainly want to thank you guys for being with us tonight on this Next Gen Training. I hope this whole I would say go back and look at the entire series of shows that we have done but this set in particular on career building, on networking. We really hope that these were shows that would be useful to you, and certainly let us know how we doing, and if we can do things, if there's certain shows that you would like us to cover, certain topics that we haven't so far, then certainly we certainly welcome that, and we certainly look to entertain it. So, but with that, I want to certainly always thank my partner, as always, the coach, for being in here tonight. I know it's been a little bit of a rough couple weeks for you with the transition and work with the girls and everything. So I hope you can rest your vocal cords a little bit, and or build them up. Maybe they're just it's like you didn't work out for a while, so now them vocal cords are sore, just like anything else exercise. You got to keep working until it gets until they get back in shape there. But I just certainly hope that everything goes well with the girls, and that you continue just to be relevant in the places that you're in, because obviously you have great impact on those around you, and that's all we're asking. Certainly for the OGs, I think that is what's called on us to do in these times. But for everybody else, make sure you hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate you guys. So for myself, Mr. Bennett, and for the coach, this is Next Gen Training on the Sparta HQ Network. You guys take care. God bless, and we'll see you next time. Good night.